Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're located today. My name is Arno. I'm one of the co-founders of Erplain, and it's my pleasure to host this webinar today. I just looked in the chat. Somebody's from Palm Springs, and I don't think it's fair. So we're probably going to remove you from the webinar today. I'm calling from Toronto, where it's minus 13 degrees. And yeah, sorry. All right. Sorry for the joke. I'll continue the webinar. Again, welcome. This is a new format that we're going to organize once a month. Today, the theme of this webinar is all about your sales workflow. So we'll talk about estimates, shipping orders, sales orders, invoicing, and all this. I'll go very quickly on a few other things, but mostly today will be about the sales workflow. The webinar will be about 40 minutes. I'll try to end the presentation at around 30 minutes, so we have 10 minutes to get some questions. We also have a team of product specialists who are looking at your questions right now. And if you have any questions, you can already ask them on the chat. They'll do their best to answer these questions. If any questions that you ask, if we're not able to answer all of these questions, we'll record all of them, and then we'll follow up after the webinar today. All right, so let's jump in quickly in the presentation. Let me start sharing my screen. This is my dashboard. And for some of you that have been using Erplain for a while, some of what I'm going to present today, you're probably already familiar with, but I'll try to add as much value as I can. The dashboard here that you can see, I'll go very quickly, but you can reorganize it based on what you're looking for, the information that you want to see. You can just drag and drops some widgets, and you can add widgets here from the list on the right. So that just to help you focus on the information that you want to look at. As I mentioned, today's webinar is about the sales workflow. So in Erplain, you can create estimates, sales orders, shipping orders, and invoices, but it's built to be very flexible. So that means, let me just go in the sales menu. There we go. That means if you don't need to create estimates, you can create directly a sales order. If you do not need to create estimates or sales orders, you can create directly an invoice. And then finally, you can go from the estimate to the invoice, and you can skip the sales order, shipping order part, but those two go together. So if you create sales orders, you will have to create shipping orders, and you will not be able to create shipping orders if you're not creating sales orders. So sales orders, shipping orders go together. As I present the sales workflow, I will be explaining the inventory update at every stage, but of course it's fully integrated. So let's jump in quickly. And for today's webinar, I'll be doing the full sales workflow. So estimate, sales orders, shipping orders, and invoices. But at every step, I will explain to you the different options that you might have. So let's go into the estimates. All right. So here first, you'll see the list of your estimates. Just like if I were to go in my sales orders or my invoices or most pages in Erplain, you can start by filtering that page. So if you click in the filter box, you can filter the estimates by status, for example. So I only want to see the estimates that are pending, and I'm going to apply, and these are the pending estimates. If I want to add a new filter and select, for example, all the pending estimates from one of my customers, I can just select that customer, and I will see only the pending estimates for that customer. If I want to show different information on that page, I can click on the columns button here, and I will be able to select some of the information that I want to add or that I want to remove from that page. Once you've customized that view with the filters over the columns, you can create a new view. So you just save that view, you give it a name, and instead of recreating your filters or the columns, you can select that. You can even select the default one, so you don't have to select it every time. The reason I like to show that at the beginning is because obviously those filters and the columns and the views, this is something that's similar in most of your pages in Erplain. So let's continue. Also, something I like to show in terms of navigation is what we call the quick access menu at the top right. So the little plus menu at the top right. That is a shortcut to create a new sales order or new product, for example. It just saves you a few clicks compared to going in the menu on the left, click on sales, and then estimates, and then create. So again, just a shortcut here. I'm already on the estimate screen, so I'm going to click on create. When I create an estimate, it is actually pretty much exactly the same form if I were to create a sales order or if I were to create an invoice. So I'll spend a few minutes on the estimate, but if I were to start my workflow in the sales order or the invoice, you would see exactly the same thing. The first thing I like to do when I create a new transaction is select the customer, because when I select the customer, I can, when I create my customer, I can assign default values to that customer. So for example, here, I'm going to select one of my customers, and the billing address, shipping address will be displayed automatically. I can assign a stock location to that customer. So this is where the inventory will be updated if that estimate becomes a sales order or an invoice, for example. I can assign an account rep. So if I have a sales team, I can tag the sales rep to that specific sale, and then create sales reports based on that sales rep. I can also give them a dedicated access to Erplain, so they will only see the customers that have been assigned to them, and they can only see the sales that they've created. They won't be able to see like the sales reports or your settings, for example. So that's a quick and easy way for order taking. So I've selected my customer. Also, before I go any further, I will also want to show you something that we've added a few months ago. So the credit limit and the current balance. So for each customer, you can assign a credit limit. That credit limit will simply allow you to create as many sales for that customer without reaching the current limit. So for example, if you have sales orders and invoices that are not paid, you will not be able to sell more than $200,000 in the example that you see. And you can see the current balance directly in as you're creating the transaction. So you can see that you've already have $86,000 outstanding for that customer. So you won't be able to go beyond that. It's optional, but it could be convenient depending on the case. I can manage multiple currencies, so I can assign a currency. That's another default value that I can assign to my customer. And then I have my wholesale price. So wholesale price, it's one of my price levels that I have assigned to that customer. With Erplain, you can create multiple price levels. So you can have, so by default, you'll have retail price and wholesale price. But you can create all your custom price levels as well. So you can create price tier 1, price tier 2. So that really allows you to adjust the pricing of your products based on the category of customers. So that could be very convenient. Excuse me. So now that the wholesale price has been assigned, as I select my products, it is the wholesale price that's going to be showing automatically. And one more thing I want to share about the price levels. I know depending on the system that you are using before Erplain, some of our customers had to create multiple products in order to manage multiple price levels. So one product, even if it's the same physical product, you create it twice because one has a retail price, one is a wholesale price, for example. And of course, that kind of creates a nightmare in terms of inventory. One more setting I want to highlight here is the include taxes in unit prices. So for most of our B2B customers that are selling in a B2B fashion, they're going to have prices for their product that do not include taxes. So that's the default setting for these customers. They will select the products, and then depending on the tax, on the sales tax that you add on top of those prices, the taxes will be added and not already included. So again, that's the default setting for most B2B type of sales, but I want to highlight that in case you wonder what it is or in case you need it. So let's start selecting products. So to select products, you can do that in a few different ways. You can simply go here and start typing the name of your products. You can also scroll down to see some of the products. So let's just add one of my products. The wholesale price shows up automatically. I can enter a quantity here. So that's one way to add products. You can also click on add multiple products. And what that will do is simply show the list of all of the products. You can filter that list by category, which we call tags, or even seasons. That's another type of category. And of course, you can filter by name or by SKU based on what you're looking for. Here, I'm just going to add another product. So you just click on the product and input the quantity on the right side. The price that you see here is the wholesale price. The available quantity of these products that you see here is the available quantity and the stock location that I selected in the previous screen. Let's close, and I've selected my products. You can also use a barcode scanner by clicking on scan if you've assigned barcodes to these products. That's another way to easily select products. I can have some notes. So these notes will be included in the PDF that I will share with my customer. So for example, here, it could be a very simple message, or it can be more detailed instructions, anything that I want to share with my customers. Your terms and conditions, they can be set up in your PDF settings or in your customer profile. Internal notes are just for me. If I want to remember that information next time I open this estimate or that transaction, I will see that information here. That can also be great to share information with my colleagues. Attaching some files here could be convenient if you want to refer to some information. Again, once you open that estimate, for example, here, that could be a purchase order that you've received from your customer, so you can refer to it very conveniently from the estimate. I'm going to save, and I've created my estimate. Before I continue on the sales workflow, I want to show you what you can do with estimates and all the other transactions that you create in Erplain. You can click on PDF. If I click on PDF, I have two options. I can download the PDF. I'll just save the file on my computer. And if I click on View PDF, that will simply open the PDF the way I set it up. You've got a few options to set up your PDFs. You can have your company logo. You can have product pictures, more or less descriptions. You can have terms and conditions that will show in the invoice, but not in the estimate, for example. So if you go to the PDF settings, you'll have a few of your options here. Some of them are common to all your PDFs, and some of them are specific to each transaction. So for example, if you prefer the term quote, instead of estimate, you can rename estimate to quote in the PDF settings. Okay, something else that you can do is you can email those PDFs directly to your customer from Erplain. So if you click on Actions and click on Send by Email, if you've previously created templates, so I've created templates for all my transactions. So I have one for my estimates, one for my sales orders, one for my invoices, and it will pre-populate automatically based on what I selected here. By the way, I think on our blog, our marketing team has created, I think, 10 templates for most of your transactions. So that could be something that could be useful. And then once you've selected the template, if it's not the one by default, you can create multiple templates for each email. You simply select the contact information and you click on Send by Email, and it will send the PDF to your customer or whoever you want to send it to. All right. Let's continue on the sales workflow. So as I created my estimate, you might guess that it has not updated my inventory. So there's no inventory update when you create an estimate. It's just a pricing, a proposal that you're sending to your customer. Nothing has been updated in your inventory. That's the next step. The next step could be simply to accept the estimate. So in that case, the status of the estimate will simply change to accepted. So if you don't want to generate any sales order or invoice from the estimate just yet, you can just change the status by clicking on Accept Estimate. Of course, you can also create a sales order or an invoice. If I were to click on invoice, Erplain would generate the invoice from that estimate. But of course, I'm going to create a sales order because the sales order is a very important part of your sales workflow. So I'm going to click on sales order, and Erplain just created a sales order from the estimate. Before I continue on the workflow, I like to make a little pause here and go on my stock level. So something I like to do is open multiple tabs every time I use Erplain. So I'm going to open another tab with my stock level so I can easily navigate back and forth between my sales orders, my customers, and my stock level, for example. So here, this is my stock level, and this will simply show the list of all my products. And for each product, I have on-hand quantity, available, reserved, and incoming quantity. Incoming quantity is when you create purchase order, but when you have not received these products yet. And that will probably, like purchasing, will probably be the subject of another webinar. As we're on the sales side, I'm going to focus on the sales numbers. So on hand is what you physically have in your inventory. So if you go in your stock locations and count the products, that should match with your on-hand inventory. And then you have the available inventory. So available is everything you have on hand minus everything that you sold, but not delivered to your customers yet. And that quantity of what you sold but not delivered to your customers, what we call reserved. So again, once again, everything that's been reserved, we remove from your on hand to give you the available quantity. And I'm sure you figured this out, but having those two numbers or even three numbers can be very helpful, because when you sell a product, they don't magically disappear from your inventory the minute you sell these products. It can take a few hours, a few days, in some cases even a few months for like our customers that are using pre-orders, for example. So if you have that interval, if that long interval, a few hours to a few months in between, you're going to lose track of what's really available for sale versus what you see physically in your inventory. If you do have products in multiple stock locations, you can click on the little arrow next to each of your products and see that same information that I just described, but by stock location. Of course, you can also filter that page for one stock location. In that case, you'll just see one stock location. If you want to have more visibility of what's reserved for each product, you can click on the reserved quantity, and you're going to see all the sales orders that include the product I just clicked on. And then you can even click on the sales order to open the sales order if you want more details. So that's, oh, sorry, clicked in the wrong spot. So that's the stock level. Let's go back on my sales order and continue the sales workflow. As I mentioned earlier, the sales workflow is very flexible. So when I created the sales order, as you can see here on the left, I have two options. I can create shipping orders, or I can create an invoice. So for example, if I want to invoice my customer before I even created the shipping order, that is not a problem. I just click on create invoice. If I want to create one or more shipping orders from that sales order, which is typically the most common way, so this is what I'm going to show you, but there's no right or wrong way, obviously, depending on how you process your orders. So let's click on create shipping order, and Erplain has generated the shipping order from my sales order. At this point, I can update quantities or even remove products if I want to ship these products in multiple shipments. So for example, I can say Instead of 5, I'm just going to include 3, and this product I will include in my next shipping order. I click on save, and I've created a shipping order with only partial quantities. As soon as I created my shipping order, this is when my inventory has been updated. My on-hand inventory has been updated. So the sales order has updated my available inventory, and now the shipping order that I just created has updated my on-hand inventory. If I want to share the status with my team of the shipping order, I can change it here. I can put it to delivered. So we're going to fast forward here. That will also change the status. So once everything is completed, invoiced, and paid, that will also change automatically the status of your sales order. So here I just updated to delivered, and now it has changed the status. Still, about the flexibility that I just mentioned, you can create an invoice from your shipping order. So if you create, just like I did now, one shipping order, or I'm going to create multiple actually, I can start invoicing my shipping orders and not my sales order. That's very possible as well. So I'll do the invoicing from the sales order, but I wanted to show you that you can do it from the shipping order. So let's click on the sales order. And I can still create a shipping order because of course I've only shipped partial quantities. So if I click again on shipping order, I will automatically see the remaining quantities. And I'm just going to do 2 today, but just so you know, you can create as many as you need. Let's click on save, and I've created my shipping order. Here again, I could invoice that shipping order. Let's go check now my sales order list. So if I click on sales order, I'm going to see all my sales orders. The one at the very top is the one we just created now together. And on the right side, I have my progress indicators. So progress indicators, a little more advanced way to track where you at in your sales order. So the first one, 100% committed, that simply means that all your products are included in shipping orders. And then based on the status of the shipping order, I can see how much has been shipped and how much has been delivered. And of course, here I have not invoiced or submitted any payment yet. So this is what we're going to continue to do. There we go. So as you can see here, I have my Create Invoice button. So I simply click on Create Invoice. I can decide to invoice some products later on as well, just like the same idea as with the shipping order. But here we're just going to invoice everything at once. I have created my invoice. At this point, I can also add a payment. So I can say I've been paid. I can set up my different payment methods in my settings. So for example, here I've been paid by bank transfer. I put the bank transfer number. I can put partial amounts, so I can come back to the invoice and add the remaining balance. That's not a problem. Here, I'm just going to say I've been paid all in full, and now the invoice has been paid, and all the sales workflow has been completed, and including the sales order, which is now completed. So if I open my sales order, as you can see, I have access to the shipping orders, I have access to the invoice, and I have access to returns in case I created returns from that sales order. So that's the sales workflow. And hopefully I showed you a little bit the flexibility of it. Because I'm in the sales, I also want to show you our B2B store. And I'll go very quickly on the B2B store because that will be the subject of another webinar. So here, I'm just going to open my B2B store the way a customer would be able to see it. So the B2B store is simply a way for me to invite some customers, all or some customers, so that they can place their orders automatically. And why is it called B2B? It's because, of course, we support the price levels that I mentioned earlier. So, for example, customer A will see their own pricing and customer B will see a different pricing maybe. And then I can also make a difference in the selection of products that I sell between customers. So I can say this customer has access to this type of product and this one has access to another type of product. So it's really customized based on your type of customer. And then finally, when my customers place their orders, it's going to create a sales order that's pending validation. And then from that order, once it's been validated or finalized, I can create my shipping orders, I can create my invoices and payment, exactly the whole B2B sales workflow that we just had a look at when I created the estimates and sales orders and invoices. So the way it works, it's very simple. Based on the way you customize, you can show different information, what's in stock, the prices. You can add your products to the cart. You can give your customers access to the order history, invoice history. They can even pay their invoices here if you've included the Stripe integration. So there's a few things, of course, that you can do. But again, that will be the subject of another webinar. That could be convenient. All right, so let's go back to Erplain and continue here with Erplain. So before I talk about the sales reports, I want to show you some features that we've added a few months back. So I already showed you the credit limit. So that was one of them. But you also have in each product that you create or that you edit. So here I'm just going to open any product here. There we go. And as you can see here, I have a customer minimum order quantity. So if I want that product not to be sold, if it's not ordered by less than 100, I can include that quantity here. Just like in the customer, I can have a minimum order value in the customer profile as well. So here, I wouldn't be able to sell this product if it's under 100. And if I go and open any of my contacts, I can include a minimum order value. So for example, if I don't want this customer to order less than $1,000, for example, I can limit that value here, and then I will have to sell a minimum of 1,000 to validate the order. Same for the credit limit. So this is what I showed you earlier here. And if I don't want more than $20,000 of outstanding orders for that customer, I can include it here. And of course, that will be adjusted automatically as my customer paid. All right, so that's some of the newer features that we've launched. Just a quick note here, all the product team is really actively working on the new version that should come up in 2025. So we'll obviously share more information as we're getting closer to the date. It's not in the next couple of weeks, just to be very transparent. We're talking a few months from now, but that will be a significant upgrade to the whole Erplain experience. And we'll be sure to include more and more of our customer feedback in that new version as well. Okay. Something I like to show as well, because we talked about it, is the PDF settings. So PDF settings here are organized. The very top here is everything that is common to all your transactions. All these display settings will be applied to all your PDFs. And then at the bottom here, you'll be able to select some specific settings based on the transaction that you're creating. So that's what the PDF settings. And then the last thing I want to show you today for the webinar before I open it to the questions is everything around your intelligence. So all the sales reports and all the invoice reports, inventory reports. So at the bottom here, you can check out your unpaid invoices, overdue invoices, product valuation. You can have that same report by date. All the reserved products. So all these are reports that can access in real time based on the transactions that you created. At the top, you've got the sales report. So these sales reports are a little more advanced because you have another layer of customization. So I'm going to open any of those, and I'll show you how to customize them. So here, I open my sales by product. So this is the default report, and I can customize it based on what I want to see. So for example, here I can click on the default time range. So here, this is everything about this year, but I can be specific to 1 day or 1 week or everything that you can think of. You can probably select here in terms of time range. Of course, you've got lots of other filters if you want to only filter on some products or some product categories, orders coming from your B2B store or that type of thing. So you can see you can filter based on what you want to see, and you can also select the columns that you want to highlight. So for here, I can click on columns, and I will be able to select all the information that I can add or remove to that report. So here, if I want to add the customer name, I select customer. And if I want to reorganize, I want my report to start by my customer, I can drag and drop it at the beginning here. And this is automatically going to reorganize based on the customer that I selected. This report, you can save it. So if you want to access this report on a regular basis, instead of building it every time, you can choose a name and it will save, and you'll see it in your list of reports. And then finally, you can export it. All your sales reports, most of the information in Erplain too, but you can create a CSV or Excel based on that information here. And that's most of the content that I wanted to cover today. As I mentioned earlier, I will open it to questions. So please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Was created. Oh, yes, I see here. Please show me how to add an additional tab. Yes, I went maybe a little quickly on that. So very easy depending on the computer you're using. So for example, if I want to open another page on the products here, instead of just clicking on the product, that will just replace the current page with my products page. If I'm on the Windows computer, I click on Control, I press the Control key, and then I click on Products. That will open another tab. Or if I'm on a Mac computer, I click on Command and I click on Products, and it's going to open another tab here directly from the menu that I selected. So that was a quick tip. Maybe I went a little quickly earlier. All right, let me check if we have any other questions here. Okay, will the next version for product kits to be sent to QuickBooks as components instead of having to sync with bundles? So this is a question from Jeff. It relates to the sync with QuickBooks. So today we are syncing your kits, the kit that we created. So it's a product made of multiple components. You can sync it with a bundle in QuickBooks. So I am not aware that this is going to be changed in the new version. So would be happy to have a little more information about that. Maybe you can share more information with the product specialist. We'll open a feature request. You also have assemblies, so I'm not sure. I'm just making sure that you're aware. You can also create assemblies with Erplain, and then in that case, each component of the assembly is synced as a different product in. To QuickBooks. Sorry, I'm just navigating here between the chat windows. All right, so let me go and check for other question here. You can use, okay. So I know a lot of the team has already replied to a lot of questions, so I just want to make sure. All right, yes, so let me answer that question here about the drop shipping. So in case you're interested to create an order that is in drop shipping mode, you can easily, directly as you create a sales order or an estimate, you can select drop shipping mode. So here I'm going to create a sales order. And if you've enabled that option, just to be sure, in the company settings, you can enable drop shipping. So if you click on drop shipping here, you can see nothing much has changed in that in the form to create a sales order. But what's going to change very significantly is how it's going to update your inventory. So if you click drop shipping, and if I click, my inventory is not going to be reserved. It's not going to be updated because I am selling the inventory directly from my supplier. So as I save the sales order, I will have the option to create a purchase order, and the purchase order will be a purchase order for my supplier with my customer's information. So my supplier will then be able to send the products that I drop shipped directly to my customer. So again, if you select that option, it's not going to update your inventory because it is the supplier's inventory. All right, another question here. Can I make any changes to my documents in case there's a mistake? So yes, so I'm going to go back in my sales order, the one we created earlier, for example. I'm going to edit. I could have clicked on the edit button directly, but I went a little too quickly. So here I can update some information. So obviously you can change some of that information, but you cannot do anything. Of course, you're not able to sell more or sell less, sorry, than what you've already shipped. That's really less. So for example, here I had 4, I cannot put 3 because I've already shipped 4. So if I really want to make that change in the sales order, I would have to update the shipping order first, or even the invoice if it's been invoiced. So it's gradual. So you have to start from the invoice, shipping order, and sales order if you wanted to update. That's probably not a very common scenario. It's probably more like if I want to sell more, I can include 6, and then I can continue the sales process, the sales workflow with the products that I've added here. Okay. Another question here. Some B2B clients want to know the retail price of my products. Do you have any solutions? Yes. So depending on what you're looking for, if in the PDF settings, so let's go back in the PDF settings. If you want to show on the invoice, for example, if you want to include the retail price, you can display the retail price. That's going to be added as an information, that's an additional information in your invoice. There's a similar option in the B2B store. If you're using the B2B store and if you want to show the retail price in the B2B store, there's a similar option so that you can display that information as well. Okay, so that was the PDF settings, and here, like I showed you, you've got different options based on the type of transactions that you've created. Okay, let me see if there are other questions here that can. Is there a way to make estimate template for 2 multiple sales orders from it? Let me try to understand the question. Is there a way to make an estimate template or to make multiple sales orders from it? No, I don't believe so. So once you generate the sales order from the estimate, it's going to use the same information as the estimate. If you're referring to creating PDF templates, then I probably have some good news for you. That should be included in the new version. you'll be able to create multiple PDFs templates based on each of your transactions. A little bit like the templates that I showed you earlier when you were sending emails. That will be a little bit the same idea. Another question here. New, still in trial mode. Does this only work on desktop? Any app? So you can use Erplain in any browser. So any computer, any type of computer, of course. You can also use Erplain on your mobile phone, still via the browser, but it's what we call a responsive user interface, which will adapt to the size of your screen. You can even create a shortcut directly on your home screen of your phone, and it will look pretty much exactly like a mobile app. So yes, so the answer is yes, you can use it on any type of device. All right, let me double check if I can find another question here. I have 2 salespeople, and I would like to give them access to Erplain for sales without having them access to purchases. How can I do it? Okay, so yes, so I quickly referred to it earlier with the account reps. So in order to do that, you can simply add account reps to your account. So you just go into the settings, account reps, you add an account rep. And by default, the first level of information that you're going to get is simply creating some sales reports based on the sales for a specific account rep. If you do want to give them access to Erplain, so first you need to add them as an account rep, and then the next step is to add them as a user. And if you go in the settings users menu, you can create a new user. And instead of selecting regular user, you can select account rep. So here I select account rep. I match it with the account rep that I just created. There we go. And then once I've selected that account rep will receive an email invite with a login and a password. And once they connect to Erplain, they will see only the customers that have been assigned to them, and they will only see the sales for that customer. So that's pretty much how it works. So you can do that. All right, last question, and then I'll close it for today. If any of the questions has not been answered yet, okay. All right, I'm not finding any new questions that have not been answered. Again, I'm filtering a little bit quickly there, but for any unanswered questions that you've asked, we'll filter them and we'll get back to you directly here. All right. Oh, here, last question. Can we apply deposit to a purchase order like we do on an estimate or invoice? No, deposits would only be available for a sale. So estimates or sales orders or invoice, of course. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending. We had a great turnout today. I appreciate your time. We'll have some great news to share this year with the new version coming out. If you have any questions after today, please let us know. You know how to reach us. You can contact the team by clicking on the Find Help button and access our Help Center. You can see the Help Center menu that's going to show here. So you can click and go directly to the Help Center. You can also directly access it by going to support.erplain.com. I hope I was able to teach you something or to add a little something or even a lot of things to your workflow today. I hope this was helpful. That was a pleasure talking to you, and we'll talk to you next time. Thank you very much.